It's a Clarksdale House Party! Hi, I'm your host, Gary Vincent. We want to welcome you to the Clarksdale Soundstage, home of the Clarksdale House Party. And tonight, we have Stacey Mitchheart with us. We got Mike Donahue with us. Bill Bowker is here from XRDS and the Crush Radio. We also have a special filming of Charlie Musslewhite talking about John Lee Hooker. And the reason I mentioned John Lee Hooker is it's John Lee Hooker's birthday today. 100 years of enjoying his music. And they opened up a new wing of the Grammy Museum, is that right?
Yeah, an exhibit for John Lee.
John Lee Hooker exhibit opened today, so y'all need to go down to Cleveland and check that out because it's going to be really cool.
It's really amazing.
So let me grab my guitar. And this is a pretty new song. Mike and I wrote it together. Baby, I ain't no millionaire. I can't buy you a penthouse overlooking Times Square, but I want to. And I want you. And baby, I'm going to give you every little thing you need. Might not be no rock and roll star, but I can pick a little Haggard on this old guitar, and I want to, 'cause I want you, and baby, I'm going to say every day you all night long. Oh, come on, Stacey. GTO, but my pick 'em up will take you anywhere you wanna go. I want to, 'cause I want you, and baby, I'm going to take you anywhere you wanna go. Yeah, I don't claim to be no Don Juan. I got just what it takes to turn you on. You, hey, baby, I want to make your every little dream come true. Oh, bring it home, brother. Our brand new song. You got to hear it first, right here at the Clarksdale House Party. So, Stacey and I have been writing songs together for years, and if you've ever been to Ground Zero and heard his band, it's an incredible band, but I like hearing him just sitting around the dining room table picking. Ladies and gentlemen, Stacey Mitchheart. Yeah.
searching and searching for a real live woman like you. I've been searching and searching and searching for a real live woman like you. A real woman does the things young girls don't know how to do. A real woman understands when they tell you your money ain't right. Real woman understands when you tell her your money's a little bit tight. She don't have to go out each and every night. A real woman know how to love you, make you rock all night long. Real woman know how to love you, make you feel good all night long. Yeah. She make you feel like you're doing right when you know you're doing wrong. I've been searching and searching and searching for a real live woman like you. Searching and searching and searching for a real live woman like you. A real woman does the things young girls don't know how to do. Looking for a real live woman. I said I want a real woman. A woman with a job. Lord, a woman with a car. I need a woman with an IRA. I need somebody to love me good.
Talk to the people out
Trace.
Talk to the people out in radio land.
How you doing, people in radio land? And the people right here. Yeah. This is my song Influenced by John Lee Hooker.
Yeah.
Yeah. which means you stomp your foot when you play it. You know, gotta get that sound on, man. Oh, sorry, your glasses down there. It could have been dangerous, man. Wait a minute here. Here we go. Blues doctor. I'm a blues doctor. Gonna take care of you. My medicine, the blues. Gonna fix what's ailing you. When you say your heart is broken and you feel so all alone, let the doctor come over, baby. Put my office in your home. I'm a blues doctor. Gonna take care of you. My medicine, the blues. Gonna fix what's ailing you. Well, you say you got a headache, you be in both day and night. Let the doctor make a house call, make everything alright. Gonna take care of you. My medicine, the blues. Gonna fix what's ailing you. Well, you say you got a backache, you can't even tie your shoes. Let the doctor bend you over, I'll cure you with my blues. Gonna take care of you. My medicine, the blues. Gonna fix what's ailing you. Well, you say that you got chest pain, you can't even catch your breath. Let the doctor rub 'em, baby. I ain't lost a patient yet. Gonna take care of you. My medicine, the blues. Gonna fix what's ailing you. That song in Atlantic City, New Jersey.
That's a good song. Thanks, that was influenced by
John Lee Hooker, that groove, and
good, because we're going to talk
and
about
a drummer.
John Lee tonight.
Okay.
Bill, why don't you get up, sit behind that, sit behind my organ.
What?
It sounded better when I said it to Megan last week, but
Excuse me.
like I said, Bill, standing right there, soon to be sitting.
Good?
Yeah.
Right here.
Take your pick, either side.
We're real happy at XRDS.FM and 88.1 to be airing this Clarksdale house party at least once a month. Pretty soon we'll be getting it on our Facebook page as well for video. So all in all, we're real excited to be working, and I'm really glad to meet Stacey. It's the first time I've had a chance to meet you. Sounding excellent.
Thank you.
Outstanding.
Thank you.
Now, yeah. Where'd you learn to do this stuff? Now, where are you from originally?
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay. I mean, they had a big blues thing going, but you look younger than when the federal, the King Federal records were going on.
Yeah, but there was still a lot of live blues going on there. So I mean,
So there was an active blues scene going
yeah.
on.
Yeah, there was an active just live music scene in general. A lot of a lot of acts came out of there, all different genres of music. So I had a lot to listen to, a lot of places to sneak into, and a lot.
Great.
Yeah.
So early age, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, yeah.
How early?
I started playing when I was 9. Yeah.
Whoa.
So
How'd that come to be?
it was raining.
Well, that's what I know. A lot of influential players have used that
Yeah,
influence. It was raining.
No, I mean, I was 9 years old, right? When you're 9 years old, all you want to do is like play kickball or basketball or something. And my buddy and I were there. It was raining. We couldn't go outside. We looked for a movie to go see if our moms would take us. And there was this big thing in the paper that said, "Learn to play guitar." And we're like, that sounds like a good idea. So we both ran and asked our parents, and they said, sure, no problem. So they took us up, signed it up for lessons. And
There was no hesitancy, huh? From your folks at all?
No, my parents were, they were big music fans. They didn't really play too much, but my grandparents had bands, and I had an uncle that I always was told he was a professional drummer.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, man, my uncle's in the big time playing drums. And then I find out like later on, it was just a bunch of American Legion halls and stuff. And at first I was kind of disappointed. And then I was like, then as the years went by, I'm like, every gig deserves your full attention and your full effort.
That's true, yeah.
If you agree to play for a certain amount of money, you shouldn't complain about it. You should go do the gig and enjoy it. And because people paid or they want to come see you. So it didn't matter if it was American Legion or an arena.
Exactly.
And I play everything. I've played everything from a grocery store with 30 people to something like this with a few people to the Amsterdam Arena in Holland in front of 45,000 and everything in between. So
what was your first paying gig?
$7.
So you realize you're going to make a lot of money in this business.
Man. Yeah. Yeah, I've been looking for women with government jobs that have good health care and, no, man, I'm just kidding. My wife works for Southwest, so finally I'm getting some good benefits. She's a great girl.
Southwest gets us out here from California to Clarksdale often.
We fly.
Yeah,
it's a great honor.
Yeah.
So, anyway, hi, Twana. Yeah. Got to say hi, or else when I get home it'll be.
So now you've been in Nashville for a while. What made that move happen?
When I came, I did a few different things. Was up in Philadelphia for a few years, and came back, put my blues band together in Cincinnati. Started building. We got great crowds. We were playing all the places that blues bands didn't normally play. The rock clubs were hiring us, and the other blues bands in town kind of got mad at us because we were making more than they were. Because we looked at it like, hey, you've got to entertain people. You don't just stand up there and play. You do your thing, and you give them a reason to come. And so then I started branching out and doing cities within a 2-3 hour radius. And then after I did that consistently, I said, let's go to the next one. Nashville was 4 hours away, and I had a friend that lived there. Went there. They had a brand new blues club just opened up. I sat in, and they called me up, and they're like, what would it take to move down here? And so I talked to them about it, and it was a house gig. I never thought a house gig would work, and I figured I'd be home 3 months later, and 21 years later, I'm still in Nashville. It was the best move I ever made.
Well, the thing is, like you were saying, you were getting more gigs by doing blues and everything, and maybe people, once they saw and the word got out about you're playing the blues, they went to see you whether they knew it was blues or not, because blues is so infectious musically, and it makes you feel good.
It does, but the only problem is a lot of people have a negative connotation to blues. They say you're playing blues, and they think that it's like, Lord, I'm going to kill myself music, and you just, it's down. But it's not. It's uplifting. It's got a lot of energy. And so I tried to take traditional blues, and I tried to kind of package it up a little bit. We dressed a certain way to kind of give it a little flair. I took some of the Atlantic City casino type thing without making it too
too
schlocky, but took that and used some of that kind of stuff and marketed it, came up with a name for the band that was easy to remember, had a logo, got it all out there, and it just really seemed to work. And so we gave people a reason to come out.
Did you ever see John Lee Hooker?
Yeah. Saw him in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
It was a little later on in his life, but it was cool.
Yeah. Now that last tune you just did, was that what was it called?
It's called Blues Doctor.
Is that going to be on your new record, or is that
no?
out
Actually,
before?
that was on a record I did. I did 2 versions of it. My very first CD that I put out, like in '92, had more of a big band horns and version, and then I did an all acoustic CD a few years back, and I retitled it Delta Blues Doctor and did it that way.
Yeah, right.
And kind of got into that. So.
That sounds great, really did. And you have a new record out.
Got a brand new one out, and we didn't know what to call it, so we just called it my name.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do you want to call this one? And label out of England put it out, and it's doing really well. It's opening up some doors for me over there, which is great. And it's an all acoustic CD, upright bass, drums, percussionist, and me doing resonators, acoustic guitars, cigar box guitars, stuff like that. It's a cool record.
And where can they find it?
You can go to my website and find it. I know it's on iTunes and
What's your
Amazon
website?
and all that stuff.
Website is?
StaceyMitchheart.com. Mitchheart has 2 H's in it. And next to each other, yeah. Mitchheart spelled H. No. I'm looking at
I'll spell it out here, yeah. Mitchhart.
A-R-T. Yeah, Stacey, S-T-A-C-Y.
Stacey Mitchheart, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Guys. Thanks, man. All right.
I want to give a shout out to the people that came out from it would be Northern California. Santa Rosa, we had a contest. People wanted to come out to Clarksdale, and we took some. And it's Bill Tompkins, Eileen Logan, our friend Mark Berry over there, all loving Clarksdale as we all do. Thank you. Let's go back. It's the Clarksdale House Party. Yeah. All right. Cool. That's good.
Well, he did a good job interviewing, didn't he? Yeah. He's not as pretty as Megan, but I guess it's all in the eye of the beholder, isn't it, Levana? Hey, get back up here, guys. Come on, man. What do you think? Are you slacking? I get to introduce my buddy Mike Donahue to you guys. This guy, I met him years ago. He was managing George Thorogood. He was manager for George Thorogood for 30 years, right? It's a long time to be managing anybody.
Well, we knew each other pretty young, in our teens. And I had a working band at 14, so I knew all the clubs and all the places to go. And he was a little later learning to play, but he used to come out to our place and we'd jam. And then when he got his chops together, I took him around and got him some gigs.
Oh.
Then I moved away for 10 years. And 10 years later, I was back in Delaware, and he was blowing up. He had Bad to the Bone. He was opening for the Stones, and he said, I need somebody I can trust. And I says, well, what's the matter? He says, well, I got a lot of hands in my pocket, but I don't trust anybody. Would you want to come and work for me? Help me sort things out. So I said, yeah, I think it would last a year or two if I was, lucky. I mean, we never really thought that it would go on and on and on. We never made a plan that was more than 3 or 4 years. Because we just thought that people would wake up someday and really realize the shtick, and then it would be over. But it just kept going and going. We're very, very fortunate. I have to say, I had the best job in the world. If you were to sit down as a kid and dream up things that you want to do in your life, I was very, very fortunate to do that.
Well, it was really professionally run, buddy. You did a good job.
Well, I appreciate
that. I was lucky enough to be able to see that organization in full swing, and it really was something. It was.
Well, we had a system, and it worked for us. It worked. Yeah.
Still working for him.
Yeah, he's still out there. He just released the solo album, his first solo album.
That you begged him to do for years. And
I tried to get him to do it 5 years ago. And I got tired of it. I retired. I retired in 2013. And I live in West Virginia, Greenbrier County, West Virginia, and I built a studio on my farm out there. And
you're busier than you ever been.
It's nuts.
He's making movies too. He's doing soundtracks for movies and.
Yeah. Stuart Margolin, he moved into Greenbrier County and came to me and he says he wanted to do all the production in the county if that was possible. And and I put a band together of very accomplished musicians to do the soundtracks, and it worked out really well. I'm really happy with it.
Yeah, the guy from the Rockford Files, right?
Yeah, he was Angel in the Rockford Files.
Yeah.
But he went on. He was very gifted in taking a screenplay and turning it into dialogue, and he wound up getting out of TV, and he must have written dialogue for 25 movies, maybe. And what happens now? Everything's changed. I don't know if you folks follow the industry, but all the incomes have fell out of the music industry, and the same sort of things are happening to the movie industry. Instead of having, big studios with big lots and actors on payroll and all that, now what they do is they do it independently, and where you. In this case, what Stewart does, he makes his movie and then takes it to the film festivals, and with the idea that somebody like Amazon or Netflix or HBO or somebody will come along and buy it from him. And he's done this about a dozen times, and he always manages to put his movie somewhere, and it works very well for him. Yeah.
Good. And he's making them at your place, man. He's making the soundtracks at
Well,
your place, which is a
yeah.
really good thing.
Yeah. It's a good experience.
So okay, let's play one of our songs.
What are we going to play?
Mike and I have been writing together for a long time, and we were in a hotel in Memphis, and sitting around, and he came up with this idea, and we wrote it.
This is what happens when you find yourself 4 a.m. being thrown out of a bar. You go up to your room and you write this song. Well, once in a while, I get to thinking I might get more done if I stop drinking, but there ain't no room on the wagon for me. Well, there ain't no kind of you're off or you're on. I tried it once, but I didn't last long, 'cause there ain't no room on the wagon for me. Well, those AA guys kept stopping by just to try to sign me up. Yeah, the more we talked, the less they thought that they would want me in their club. Hey, that's alright, I don't mind. I'm as happy as a cracker on the 4th of July. There ain't no room on the wagon for me. You got any? Well, I don't know, but I've been told, stop drinking whiskey 'cause you're getting too old. But there ain't no room on the wagon for me. Well, you only live once, but you die once too. And in between you ought to do just what you wanna do. And there ain't no room on the wagon for me. Well, I don't want no 12-step program, 'cause I know how it's gonna end. First step I take, be off that wagon and I'd land right on my head. Well, I love whiskey from Tennessee, Canadian too, I'm not hard to please. There ain't no room on the wagon. Well, I know you think that I'm just bragging, but there ain't no room on the wagon for me. Thank you. That's very nice, very kind. Now what?
I want you to talk about John Lee Hooker.
Oh, the hook.
I thought maybe you'd do it over there, though. But,
Well, it doesn't matter.
well, why don't you stay where you're at and talk to him? I just
Okay.
don't want to sit next to you when you do it, because I want to
Well,
sit out there and listen.
Thurgood's first album, he had a cut go to radio that really broke things open for him, and it was John Lee Hooker's One Bourbon, One Scotch, and a Beer. And they were playing it around Boston, and he was on a Boston label in Philly. And then they started playing it in Denver and then out on the coast, out in the Bay Area, which means that you got those locations and, you build a tour. And we were fortunate to have, be able to go across the country. And George would play bourbon, scotch, and a beer, and it became a staple in the show. And so, like, blues is one thing. A blues record's a hit at 5,000 copies. A rock record's a hit at 500,000 copies. I think in total, Bourbon, Scotch, and a Beer was on, I think, 9, maybe 10 of George's albums. The hits records, and they put it on there. You know how that is. The labels always wanted to generate income off your catalog. But anyway, we got a pretty healthy income check, and George, any reason to get with John Lee. I mean, so we get on a plane, we fly out to San Francisco. John Lee lived in a little development outside of about 20 minutes from the airport in San Francisco. And we go, driving up to the house, there it is, a nice house, and he's got a Cadillac parked in the driveway with a chocolate body and a tan roof and a license plate on it that said Boogie One. And so we go inside, and there's like 6 gals in there, and they're all waiting on him hand and foot, and they're all having a great time. And we start talking, and George was a minor league baseball player, and him and John Lee, they would spend hours and hours talking about baseball. And it wasn't about music, it was about baseball. So, we had a good time, say goodbye to everybody, and then, go move forward another year and a half, and there's another fairly sizable check, and let's go see John Lee. And we went back out again, and this time there was only 2 girls in the house, and everything was a lot calmer, And I said, John, what happened to all the girls? And he stands up and he walks across to the living room bay window, and he points across the studio and says, Bob, I bought that house over there for the girls. They was driving me crazy. And so you look there, and in the parking lot, the house was identical to his, like cookie cutter. And you look in the driveway there, and there is an Eldorado, just like his, but the colors were reversed. It was tan body and chocolate roof. And the license plate on the back was Boogie 2. And he was a real character. Everybody loved him, and he would just do anything for you, I mean, lots of times there would be, I should maybe get into this, but he always had a lot of gals around, and he was always helping them. I mean, the man would give you the shirt off his back if you told him you needed it, I mean, everybody loved him, and he was always fun and always cutting up, and it was just so much fun to be around it, We were very, very fortunate to have known John Lee Hooker. Yeah. Well, that's my story.
All right, let's play some more music. I'm on a chicken kick, man. There's another chicken song. You guys are getting to hear all kinds of new stuff here. Chicken can't be beat. Good from the beak down to them bony little feet. But my job moved to Mexico, my money's all gone. That's why I'm singing this chickenless song. Ain't no chicken, ain't no chicken. Supper's gonna suffer if the clucker is missing. Here I am just crying in the kitchen. full of stock, but there ain't no chicken. Yeah, tastiest bird the Lord ever made. If you ain't into meat, well, you can still eat the eggs. Dye 'em up purty on Easter Sunday. Make a nice egg salad for your lunch on Monday. Ain't no chicken, ain't no chicken. I'd settle for some gizzards or some gravy dripping. They ain't looking promising from where I'm sitting. Right here in a kitchen where there ain't no chicken. Chicken and biscuits, chicken goes with anything you want to fix with it. You can boil it, broil it, fry it in a pan. I'll take it any way I can. I ain't a fickle chicken man. Ain't no chicken, ain't no chicken. Bet your bottom buck there won't be any finger licking. The dinner's much quicker when there's no bone picking. Plate full of taters, but there ain't no chicken. If I live my life in a righteous way, someday I might make it to them pearly gates. Don't care nothing about them streets of gold, but if they got a Colonel Sanders, Lord, it bless my soul. Ain't no chicken, ain't no chicken. Got a yard bird addiction that I have no chance of quitting. Here I am, just crying in the kitchen. Pot full of stock, but there ain't no chicken. Ain't no chicken. Ain't no chicken. I got a fork in my hand, but it's only wishful sticking. A pot full of stock, but there ain't no chicken. There's a lot of words to that song. Okay, we're going to have Roger get up and talk to us a little bit. How about a hand for Roger?
Thank you. For those of you in radio land, if you're watching the video later and you're my mother, this is not a Pabst in front of me, it's the mic stand. So just want to be clear about that. So I'm Roger. I guess we've established that. I have Cathead, the blues store downtown, work on various festivals. Sometimes I get to take bluesmen overseas. Through time, I get to meet a lot of really awesome blues people. Unfortunately, John Lee Hooker was not one of them. I did almost see him right here in Clarksdale, Mississippi in the late 90s, but apparently he was ill and unable to play the festival here. But his music's always been important to me, and I guess I've lived it, experienced it through other bluesmen who really at the time either knew him or heard it on the radio or bought the records. So guys like Big George Brock, who's now 85 and does Boogie Chillin', songs like that. Pat Thomas down in Leland, Mississippi, who learned songs like Dimples from his father, James Son Thomas. And you can see him play that pretty much daily at the Highway 61 Blues Museum in Leland. And then a guy like Robert Wolfman Belfour, who was a guy I used to see all the time at Reds, book him on festivals. And if you had him play long enough, about 2.5 hours into his show, he'd hit some John Lee Hooker. You know, he was a Mississippi Hill Country guy from North Mississippi, so folks think about him as that, but he was a huge John Lee Hooker fan. So fortunately, I was lucky enough to know Mr. Balfour and get to take him places. And one of the first places I believe I took him overseas in 2005 was Italy. Parma, Italy, as in Parmesan cheese, you know, awesome. Except that what he wanted every night was fried fish and French fries, which is not very Italian, was a challenge. You know, one night the fish comes with eyes and everything. He comes out of his seat, and then he sat down. He ended up eating the whole thing, except the eyes. Another night they brought calamari as a side, and he thought they were onion rings. Not very good onion rings, but he thought they were onion rings, so it worked. But we go through this week-long tour, and I had Mr. Balfour, and then Lightning Malcolm, if you know who he is. He came to play drums, and then he ended up opening up on the shows. So there's the three of us, and we've done this great week. It's been a blast. We're ready to go in the morning, super early. We tell the lady who doesn't speak any English that we need to be picked up at a certain time at this B&B way out in the countryside. And, of course, I speak as much Italian as she spoke English, so apparently there was a communication breakdown. Suddenly, we're awakened out of the blue. The bus is here. We just have to grab our stuff and go. And they're like an hour late or more, and now we're hitting like rush hour traffic. So we get to the airport. Mr. Balfour was elderly and had kind of bad legs, so we had to get him a wheelchair. And there's like this huge line to check in. So we're going to check in. Anybody who knows Lightning Malcolm knows he's just smiling and happy to be there. So I didn't really worry about him. I figured whatever happened, he'll be smiling and happy to be there. So I tried to stay with the old bluesman, got in the wheelchair, crazy mob crowd. I mean, really, it was like a cattle call just trying to check in. And they assigned this young lady, cute young Italian lady, who had just started working either for the airport or the airline, I don't know how that works, to push Mr. Balfour in the wheelchair because there's no way we're making this flight, but they're going to try. So there were a lot of words exchanged, some of which I think I did understand. But she takes off running with Mr. Balfour, and I'm carrying all the crap, so I'm like running after him with all the crap, mine and his. And she runs off into the bowels of the airport. I mean, like, barely any lights on. It's like, we're in the closed part of the airport. This doesn't seem right. But I'm just running after, all sweaty. Mr. Balfour, of course, is super cool in his suit and hat, just in a wheelchair. And she runs us through like all these back areas. It appeared we were going around security, which made me a little nervous. Suddenly we burst through this door, and there's all these pilots in there smoking and playing, I don't know, poker. I'm not sure what it was. And all of a sudden they're yelling. Again, I understood some of the words. She's yelling right back at them, and she gets us through. And we pop out the other side, and there's this little, apparently for VIP, little check thing with the X-ray machine and everything. It was small, and it was just one of them. We get up to it, and we're putting our stuff up there, and I'm sweaty, and I'm like, there is no way we're making this flight. And I look up, and right in front of us, here's Mr. Balfour, and here's Ernest Borgnine. So apparently it's where Ernest Borgnine checks in, and Robert Balfour. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. You know, he looked just as goofy as on TV in the movies. So we get through that, and I'm like, there's just no way we're making this flight. I mean, it's like at the time. And we walk up, and it's like a huge, apparently on the second floor is what it felt like, and there's a huge glass wall, windows, and you look out on the tarmac, and there's vehicles, and there's airplanes every which way, and there's luggage. And I'm like, this doesn't seem like where you get on the airplane, because it wasn't. So she gets on this phone that just suddenly is on the wall. Like suddenly you notice there's a phone, and she picks it up. She's yelling. Somebody else is yelling. That went on for a while. Then she hung it up and then like looked at us like everything was fine, just kind of smiling. And suddenly out of this sea of airplanes and luggage and everything on the tarmac comes this crazy futuristic Star Wars vehicle, like real low to the ground, but it had this glass box on top. So it comes up, and suddenly, unbeknownst to me, some of these windows open up. It's like a sliding door thing. And this guy operates this elevator off the top of this truck and comes up to the second floor and exchanges more words with her. Shows her very briefly how to use the stuff in there to make the elevator thing on the vehicle go up and down and do stuff, and then gets off, again, yelling. So we take off. She manages to get us down, down back to the vehicle. And there's a driver down there, but she can only talk to him with a phone that's in the glass box. So we drive off. We're going between airplanes, under airplanes, around luggage, like way out. And I'm still thinking, there's no way we're making this flight. And I don't even know how do I even know she's taking us to our flight? You know, does she even know at this point what we're doing? So we come up to this airplane. She pulls up to the opposite side of how you normally board, gets on the phone, words are exchanged. Suddenly, the door pops open, the emergency door behind the cockpit. And she makes the thing go up, you know, bzzz, this elevator thing. Words were exchanged when the door opened because, man, people were pissed, frankly, inside the airplane. But we get in there, they're yelling at her, so we just kind of go in, and she goes back off with the vehicle. I'm sweaty. Mr. Balfour looks great. I'm sweaty. Get him situated, and suddenly I'm like, oh my God, Lieutenant Malcolm. He's not in the airplane. I was like, good Lord, I can't lose somebody. So I go up with my most authoritative voice in English, which wasn't helpful, and tried to basically say, we can't leave, we can't shut that door without blah, 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 this musician. I was told to sit back down, and that I did understand. And so as I'm going back past the cockpit, past the door they had open, suddenly there's a bus coming out of nowhere, like just going through everything, and there's one goofy guy standing up there holding his guitar, that Telecaster in a case. There's Malcolm, cool as a cucumber, gets on the airplane. So this has nothing to do with John Lee Hooker. However, I say all that to say that the way that John Lee Hooker was channeled to me live and in person about 3 times a month was through Robert Wolfman Belfour at Red's Lounge. He'd be at least 2 hours into the set, and then he told a little story about, yeah, I learned all this stuff from my dad and from my neighbors, but there were some songs I heard on WDIA late at night. I'd tune into the radio, and I'd hear Boogie Chillin' or Hobo Blues, and he would usually launch into Hobo Blues at that point. And what I loved about it is he took himself back in time and remembered how special that was, how unique it was, how there was only one John Lee Hooker, particularly back then when nobody was even copying him or doing his songs at that time. And it helped to inspire him. And those nights, to me, that's like as close as I ever got to the man himself. Thank you very much.
Now, I know that Charlie Musslewhite isn't here at the moment, but he was here a couple days ago. And he was really bummed that he couldn't stay and do the house party. But he did film something for us. So this is Charlie Musslewhite with his thoughts.
First time I met John Lee was in Chicago. He lived in Detroit, but he would come to Chicago to play. This was a club owned by Big Bill Hill, which I forget the name of. It was on Roosevelt Road, I believe. Anyhow, we hit it off right away, and we just became such good friends. It was like meeting an old friend for the first time. Like we'd been friends forever. And we stayed in touch and stayed real good friends from then on. And I saw John all around the country. Our paths would cross here and there in different clubs and festivals. We both moved out to California. I would stay at his home many times. I'd spend the night. It'd get too late to go home, or for several other reasons. And John loved to laugh, loved a good joke, he was like a trickster to pull tricks on people. And he was very generous, had a big heart, loved everybody. I remember the first time I heard John Lee was on the radio. I listened to XERV from Ciudad Acuña, Coahuila, Mexico, or WLAC out of Nashville. And they play, I remember hearing like Hobo Blues and Crawling King State. Real late at night, John playing solo, just him and his guitar, just foot tapping. And in the middle of the night, just hearing that sound, they just had this real low down, kind of sinister sound. I loved it. I still love it. he was a great individual kind of blues player. Nobody played guitar like John Lee. He had a sound, nobody sounds like that. Even people that play note for note what he plays, you don't get that sound. I don't know how he did that. And John was a huge impression on the blues, and you know, Boom Boom and all those hits he had. And I feel real honored to have known him and called him a friend.
Thanks, Charlie. I'll send it to him. 1, 2, 3.
Shoot you right down. Boom, boom, boom. Shoot you right down. Walk that walk. Talk that talk. Walk that walk. Talk that baby talk. I said, shoot me. You got dimples in your jaw. You got dimples in your jaw. Dimples in your jaw. Dimples in your jaw. Love the way you talk. Talk that baby talk. Lord, I said, shook man. Shook man. You shook me. I said, you shook me. Something like that. Yeah.
All right, Stacey Mitchheart.
Thank you.
This is Robert.
Hello,
Hey, Robert.
everybody there? At Radio Land, you out there?
Yeah.
All right. We're going to change a little history of John Lee Hooker. After a minimum of 8 reference resources, probably the best being Charles Murray's Boogeyman. Charles Murray is the musician's writer, did an excellent book. But he introduces Tony Hollins, who came into John Lee Hooker's life while courting his sister Alice, gave him an old guitar and taught him Crawling King Snake blues and Catfish blues. Later, he meets Will Moore, that his mother, Minnie, lives with for a while, and Will Moore teaches him boogie, that boogie woogie beat that is so classic John Lee Hooker. 1931, John Lee heads to Memphis. 1933, he's in Cincinnati, and 43, he's in Detroit. Tony Hollins would go on to record several records with OK and Decca. Will Moore, who, according to John Lee, would go out and play with Blind Lemon Jefferson and Charlie Patton, but John Lee was not allowed to go on those trips. There are no known recordings of Will Moore. John Lee was born to father, Reverend William Hooker Sr., born in 1872, born in North Carolina. His father was from North Carolina, his mother from North Carolina. John Lee's mother, Minnie Ramsey Hooker, born in 1877 in Alabama. Her father, born in Alabama, and mother was born in North Carolina. Misquotes of dates start with Minnie. Imagine that, a woman lying about her age. In 1910, she says she's 31 years old. 10 years later, in 1920, Minnie has only aged 8 years. She says she's 39. John Lee follows that and quotes years of birth as 1915, 1917, 1920, 1923. In later years, he adamantly says it was 1920, but it was always August 22nd. In 1910, the family lived in Leflore County, Mississippi, near William's brothers, I'm assuming. In 3 houses, you have William's brother, John, 42, Ike, aged 30, and William, 38. By 1920, William and Minnie live in Tallahatchie County, Mississippi, with only her 11th child, Jessie, yet to be born, and a baby, only a month and a half years old. The U.S. Census of 1920, recorded on February the 3rd in Tallahatchie County, shows the 7th child of William and Minnie Hooker, a 7-year-old John, short of his 8th birthday. John Lee Hooker's actual date of birth is August 27th, 1912. Today, August 27th, 2017, John Lee Hooker would be 105 years old. Happy birthday, and that's a fact, Jack. I'm Robert Birdsong, and you heard it first here on Clarksdale House Party, on XRDS Radio, Clarksdale's Blues Radio.
Okay. We're just jamming at this point. Is that all right?
Yeah.
We played this song last night. I don't really know how it went.
What key are we in? Is this one in B?
I think it's an E. That's how it goes. is busted, my Porsche's in a shop. I bought 1,100 shares of some dog shit stock. My maid came down with the Hong Kong flu. I got the low down upper tax bracket blues. I got too much money to hide in IRAs. Got a mansion in France, but still I can't get laid. Ain't easy walking around in these Gucci shoes. I got them low down upper tax bracket blues. My thoroughbred keeps losing, my lawyer's deranged, my wife can't stand me, and my dog's got the mange. My gardener keeps peeing in the swimming pool. Got them low down upper tax bracket blues. My shrink must think that he's Sigmund Freud. Says I hate my mother and I'm a paranoid. I got chronic psychosis up the old wazoo. I got them low down upper tax bracket blues. Come on. Workers keep bitching about the money they make. I'm gonna hire a bunch of scabs and pay a minimum wage. Tell the union arbitrators they can lick my boots. I got them low down upper tax bracket blues. My secretary says our sex is trash. I'd buy her in a minute, but she's got a nice ass. She said I'd look real good in a harassment suit. I got them low down upper tax bracket blues. If money is a curse, Lord, I paid my dues. I got them low down upper tax bracket blues. That is not a true story. Come on, bring us home, brother.
Oh, man. Okay. Putting this on me, aren't you?
Yeah, man.
Okay. Okay.
Something I can play?
Well, of course.
Well,
Let me think.
he knows a lot of chords, but I don't. He does.
Not as many as Mike. He got those cool chords, man. Okay. This is in the key of A minor, for those of you following along on your hymnals. Page 232. We will not be doing the 7th or 9th verses today. All right. Things have changed. Don't want you here no more. Things have changed. I don't want you here no more. You're not the woman you used to be, yeah. You need to be headed right out my door. I don't know what causes changing you. I don't know what causes changing you. But I can tell you right now, ain't no doubt in my mind that we're through. When I wake up in the morning and I turn my head, not the woman I know. lying in my bed. I don't know why, and I don't know where. One thing I know, it ain't never gonna happen right here again. Go ahead. Things have changed. I don't want you here no more. Things have changed. I don't want you here no more. I don't want no long goodbyes, yeah. Just give me the keys to my door. Shut back. Don't want no long goodbyes, yeah. Give me the keys to my door. I don't want no long goodbyes. Give me the keys, Lord, to my door. Something like that.
So you guys, we want to thank you so much for coming to the house party. It was this was fun.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you all. All those people listening in and radio land. What's that there?
One last announcement. Drinks on Gary.
All right.
All drink. Vincent Productions, the Clarksdale Soundstage, and the Clarksdale House Party would like to thank XRDS.FM for their continued support. We hope that you'll keep on tuning in locally here in Clarksdale on Rocket 88.1 on your FM dial.